Chuck Hite joins the show this week. Chuck is a financial planner with Barnum Financial Group who found his inspiration to join the industry at an early age. He's here to share the story and how he helps provide the best financial advice for his clients each and every day. I'm Paul Blanco, and this is Small Steps, Big Wins. Chuck Hite, welcome to Small Steps, Big Wins. I'm so happy to have you here. And I was very fortunate to really back in when you were hired, was I was my role was very different than it is today. So I got to see you through from the first day to where you are today. And it's the amazing practice you've built. But I want to kind of start with, how did you get here? How did you get in this field? And what made you decide to be a financial advisor?
Oh, wow. Well, first, Paul, thank you for having me on. Tremendous honor. And as you mentioned, we've been together for quite some time. I've seen this firm grow from about 40 to well over 400. And I'm just amazed when I think back to where we started and where we are now and where we're going, which is even more exciting.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, so I'm a career changer. I'm quite certain that you wouldn't hire me today, given where I came from and my skill sets. But that's, thank gosh, I got in under the wire. I went to school for sports medicine. I was a certified athletic trainer. I was in that emergency, somebody got hurt, you need to go figure out if they're breathing, fix them, get them returning to play, and then do what we can to get them back on the field if they do need to miss time, which it was wonderful. I gravitated that after my own high school athletic, we'll call it a career, but injuries, more importantly. The athletic training route wasn't going to give me the work-life balance that I know is really important to you and what you talk about on a daily basis. I wasn't going to be able to have a family in the way that I wanted to be able to coach Little League and to spend time with my family. So I was looking for other opportunities. I answered an ad in the paper back when there were actual papers and came in for an interview and thought I could see myself doing this. And thank gosh I came to Barnum, because the infrastructure that you put in place really carried me, because not having a background in finance, I was very worried about doing something wrong. The do no harm part of the medical part. That was what I was really concerned with.
Well, it's interesting, never hearing you explain what you did as an athletic trainer until this morning. I've heard you talk about it, but never explain it. But that's kind of what you do for clients, right? You help them to get back on the field to, differently than they were on the field prior to. So there's a great parallel there when you think about it. And you're right. I mean, you checked a lot of boxes that we didn't want to check, right? You didn't have a finance background. You moved, you didn't live in the area, so your market wasn't here. So you checked a ton of them, but you've had an amazing success. And I always tell the story of, you're in the top 0.5% in the industry. And as you said earlier, the future is even brighter where you're going, right? But I think there's a lot of things that I think you've done really well that I think is important to share. You go on that journey and you get to a point where you're starting, this is your practice, but then you were an early adapter to teaming. And I feel like that was one of the first big strategic moves you made, besides, the stuff that I would say is mandatory, getting all your licenses and getting credentialed and learning, because you're an avid learner. But I think teaming was something that really played into your hands pretty quickly in your practice.
Oh, I agree. What I learned about myself is that I will work harder for others than I will for myself. And the idea of letting a team down is just not something that I would ever, I will never be the weak link. I will be the one helping the team win.
Yeah.
So, and having that accountability to somebody else really, it gets me out of bed in the morning. It's really drives me to making sure. And then with the clients. They're part of my team. I call them my family. Most of my conversations with our clients now are it's mostly personal, right? We're trying to help them accomplish legacy, what have you. It's powerful seeing them accomplish their goals, seeing my teammates accomplish their goals. That's what we love.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting to hear you say that. Once again, another parallel to sports, right? You want to help the team win. And you realize that really early, where some people want to just lead and build an organization. You want it to be a teammate. And to be a teammate, you needed a team. And you've ultimately became, I would say that you've done a lot of leadership on the team in different capacities than your partner does. And he does some other things that you don't do. But I feel like that's a really good point, because I don't think a lot of teams are looking for teammates. They're looking for players. And that's a different analogy that you just brought to it. So what was, besides that, was there any other benefits to you that you found early on with teaming?
Well, everyone has a different skill set. I got to learn from everyone. Even just starting with joint work, I didn't know what I was doing. I could communicate, but I didn't really know what the end result was. So being able to partner with the people that were there, and they were succeeding at their own level. I mean, going on appointments with you, going on appointments with Joe, with flashback to Bill and even Dave, your brother, huge influences. I got to hear how they handle situations and how I would go about it maybe a little differently, but everyone was so helpful. It was such a wonderful culture coming in that you immediately felt part of the family.
Yep. And you, I think, after hearing from so many different people, you shaped your business to who you are and how you approach
Yes.
clients and what you do. So I have a couple of areas I want to focus on with you. One is, we've had a phrase here at Barnum for a long time as a marketing firm that does financial planning, and we've been able to help a lot of advisors get in front of clients on a favorable basis. And you did a lot of that stuff in your early career. One of the things that we also taught was find a market that you can go into, that you become an expert, you become familiar with, and that you become really referable. And many people taught that to lots of people, but you and Marcello have really done that better than most. Let's talk about how you pick the market and kind of what you guys do. And I'd love you to share that, because I feel like it's the ultimate of what, if you think about this industry. I had Richard Wildman on the podcast a year and a half ago, but he was the founder of Target Marketing. And, what he talks about, the vision, you've created that already with your team. So why don't you share that? I think that'd be really great for the listeners.
It really is amazing when you look back and see where we are now to where we started. I believe, well, it's definitely Marcello that met with the first medical professional. And he did such a wonderful job at the time. He would go out and he would gather the information, and then we brainstorm on the solutions. And another mentor of his was very good at figuring out how to be passed on to the next person. And again, Marcello did such a wonderful job with that first person that he was recommended to 4 or 5 colleagues, who then referred him to another 4 or 5 colleagues. And what we found was that most of these people, these professionals, had the same basic concerns, right? Saving for retirement, protecting their income while they're working, and then obviously putting kids through college and all the other things that kind of go involved there. But really having a better understanding of and knowing what that profession needs, what their shortfalls are, and where we could come in and provide whether clarity or peace of mind or whatever you want to say. We become the person to talk to. Oh, you have a financial question? Go to Marcello, go to Chuck. It's great. We love meeting with people that want our help. We love meeting with people that it's almost as if that barrier of whether they can trust us is gone.
Yeah,
You've helped 5 of my colleagues.
Yeah, you become referable.
Wonderful.
And I think back, we started a DI program where we went into the medical field. You were part of it. There was a bunch of guys that wrote some good cases and they went in a different direction. You guys really stayed on the path. And why don't you, can you talk about the market that you're in? What they do for a living?
Uh, Specifically, the ERNA. It's Certified Registered Nurse Anesthetist, and they are they're RNs, nurses that have an additional degree. I guess is the best way of putting that. Um, where they are the group that when you go in for your medical procedure, they're the ones that put you under and then hopefully bring you back out, wake you back up. They have this niche where there's more and more surgical centers opening up, and they have the ability to make their own hours. It seems to be a 24-hour thing where there's always a need for them, and they can get to the point where they're forming their own business and they are building companies and really just self-employed, which is very similar to the way that we're structured. We have our own practice and you're there to enhance it. Well, so we're acting in that capacity of trying to help them enhance their retirement savings and protection and everything else because there is no employer that's going to provide that for them.
Yep.
So we help them with their protection. We help them with their retirement planning, setting up different places. We set them up with CPAs, with the TPA, whatever is needed.
Yeah. So let's unbundle it for a second. And, I was a big proponent of the Wildman program. I had a market when I started as an advisor and I did pretty well in it as well. And, took a different path into leadership. But when I think of it first, the market has to be big enough, which it is. You
Mhm.
have a big enough market there. They have to be people that, have enough opportunity for you. When you think about it, you and Marcello had to become good planners first. So you were good planners, but these people needed planning because of what you just brought up, right? They're self-employed. Now it's probably even different than when you first started, but you're truly an entrepreneur now and they're entrepreneurs and they start out in a business and then they go on their own and they build the practice and then obviously you have all the products and service that help them and you become referable and continue to market to them. So when you look at your practice today, is that 30%, 50% of your business? What percentage of your business is it that you get from that market?
So it's a great question. We are our team is 100% referral based right now. New clients coming in, I would say it might be closer to 70% are coming from that field. And then there's also referrals from the CPA. There's referrals from the attorneys that we work with. It's at a point now where it doesn't matter what the client's first need is. So if a new DRNA needs an accountant, the accountants that we have set our existing clients up with, they're getting referred to our accountants, and our accountants say, I can help you. And here's Chuck and Marcello. You need to go to them to put everything in
Yeah.
place.
Because it's turnkey, because
So
you know the market inside and out and you know every step. And it sounds like from our recent conversation, you probably have 5 or 6 products in almost every household. And then when you think about the life of a client, if you service them properly, you continue to get more and more and you'll grow with them throughout their career. Many people get into a market and they don't give it enough time. How many years you think you guys are doing this now? Probably 10 plus, correct?
at least 10, yeah, absolutely. At least 10.
So,
So
well,
yeah, as you said, we start with people that are literally graduating from the program. There are 2 or 3 programs in Connecticut. So Marcello does a financial workshop for the graduates or soon to be graduates. And we're there every step of the way, whether it's helping them manage debt, whether it's helping them with the lease on their first car. We're there as a resource for everything. So, and then people that are ready to retire, that's the next phase. So
yeah, and in general, and then we'll move on to another subject, but it probably took you lots of hours to get in, but now it's lots of hours to now it's just really it's a machine that just keeps referring as long as you keep your service up. and continue to grow your skill sets, you'll continue to grow with that market.
That's it. We're trying to streamline. That's every business, right? You try to streamline the areas that you can so that you can spend the time on the one-offs, on the things that are a little bit different, that we can really spend time solving those additional problems.
Yep. And you now have a conveyor belt of opportunities coming at you. So the other thing that, let's shift gears a little bit. The other thing that I think is, well, let's talk about a comment you just made a few minutes ago. Your business is coming from your market and referrals, right? So how did you get to that point? And are you intentional about it? And what are you doing to make sure that you're getting enough of them to continue the growth rate that you're at?
We could certainly be more intentional. How do we get there? As we meet with professionals, as we meet with our clients, we ask who they work with other professionals, and if whether they like that person or not. And that's there's two reasons for that. If they're not happy with their current professional, well, we have people that we're comfortable talking with, and
So you're talking more attorneys, CPAs.
attorneys and CPAs, yes. So what I love about the CPAs and the attorneys that we refer to is that it's not that they don't step outside their lane. They're confident enough in what they do know that they don't tend to know things that they don't. When the CPA gets a question regarding retirement planning, he asks us for help or she asks us for help. And then when there's a tax situation, obviously I don't give them tax advice. I send them to the CPA. So I want to know if they have a good relationship with their professional. And I love hearing when they say, "Oh, I've been working with the CPA for a decade and I love it." That's fantastic. And I want to meet that person. I want to connect. I want to say, "How can I help you help this client?" Um, and I think what's happened is those other professionals realize that it's not combative. We're not butting heads. We both have the same goal in mind, which is making sure that our clients are in the best possible space. So they enjoy getting information when they ask for it quickly. They find us to be, I guess, referable. Well, I love it when they actually refer their own family parents to us to help them with their financial planning, and that's important. I feel like if they trust us with their family, then
You mean
it means we're there.
the CPA is doing that, yeah, which is amazing.
CPA and the attorneys, yeah.
But I think there's, as I listen to many speakers in this industry for many, many years, you guys are being methodical but intentional at the same time, which is kind of weird, but you're meeting with the client and you built the market. Then you're taking the time to introduce yourself to the accountant, where some people might say, "Oh, the accountant has a guy and I'm worried about doing that," but you're doing that. And the sincereness that you have to help the clients is coming through. And then that's how the CPA is ultimately becoming a referral source for you, which is really awesome. Let's talk about this. You got this whole thing going. You got this great momentum now. And let's talk about mindset. Take yourself back a little bit to when you started to today, or even just 5 years ago. Where is your mindset now? And how are you thinking about the business compared to at a different point of your career?
Sorry to go back, but I think what I do very well as a planner is I am able to see things that aren't as efficient as they could be, hopefully, and articulate why I see this as a potential problem and what the steps we need to take to quote unquote fix it to get people on track with what they're trying to accomplish. The way that I process information, I'm always looking at things that are like what could be wrong with it rather than what's right with it. And I think I had to have that shift where new idea, new product, new service, what have you, instead of finding out what was wrong with it, I had to find out what was right with it. How could this fit? Who could it help? And it opened up more opportunities to be able to bring additional products and services. Now, obviously, there isn't one product that works for everybody in every situation. All of the products that are out there, they're geared for somebody. Just got to make sure that when I come across that somebody, I know how to pair them up. As far as the mindset with building a team, it's don't talk about what somebody can't do, talk about what they can do, and make sure that we give more of that type of work to them so that they feel like they're accomplishing something and they're helping the team grow.
Yeah, my favorite book, Good to Great, Do the Hedgehog Theory, right? Do what you do really well and do a ton of it. Where I was going with it is I love how you explain that, because that's one thing that's really cool about our industry, right? It's no longer, you're not concerned, are you going to make a sale or get a new client? You're just concerned with what they're going to buy from you and when, right? And how they're going to use it. And I love what you just said about your objectivity. I remember being a one trick pony, and if someone just had a triple bypass, I just packed my bag and left, right? And now in an industry where there's so many products and it's so hard to keep up with it, but you have to know where to use them and when. And I think that's a really cool thing, because it definitely differentiates yourself from the marketplace out there. So, talk about what let's talk about the future. You took it as a negative early on, but you did the Kraft exam when you first came into the business. The Dr. Larry Kraft had a bit thing, and there was either a racehorse or a plow horse. And today we have the Colby, and it's, you're high in fact find or follow through or quick start. And, I always said you were a plow horse, and that was never a negative, because there's never a good or a bad. There's a horse that runs really fast that maybe dies at the end, or there's a plow horse that just continues to grow. And as you watch yourself continue to grow, how are you thinking about the future now? And what is it, right? Some guys are running like at full tilt. Your full tilt is very different, because you're strategically thinking about even though you're at full tilt, it's a little more of that plow horse mentality. But how are you thinking about the future now? You're adding a junior to your team, which is
Yes.
a big step for you. And knowing that you have so many opportunities and probably not enough scale to do it, and continuing your process of right people on the bus and getting them in the right job. So how are you thinking about the future?
Wow. So yes, very excited about the junior on our team, Julian. He's brilliant. We had the opportunity to work with him as an intern, and not only is he a great communicator, he's just, I mean, it's not old, but just a good, wholesome kid. His values line up with our values, and it's the growth aspect to this. What I'm seeing are that there are a lot of people that need help. When we started 20, 30 years ago, financial planning was something for the rich.
Yeah.
And most people are like, I don't need that. I just want this. Or I don't know if I need that. How about that? And now we're getting these graduates, they're 24, 28, 32, depending on when they go to these programs. And they all know that they want and or need the financial advice. And we needed somebody to be able to help with us to make sure that we're helping as many people as we can. And then I'm starting to feel my mortality. My kids are getting older, and they're graduating from high school and moving on with their lives. And I I'm serious when I look at my clients as family, and I want to make sure that if something had happened to me yesterday, it's great that I have notes and it's great that we have the team in place. But if we're not bringing in new people to be able to carry on the torch and to be able to help them, I, I feel like it's my personal responsibility to make sure that they're taking care of the people that I trust. And Marcello and Julian I couldn't ask for better teammates.
I read a quote today to my leadership team, and it was, the best financial plan is the plan that can be executed when you're not here. It doesn't need you to execute it. So you're taking that same approach to your practice now. What you just said, right? You're putting someone in, not when you're gone to say, oh, bring this guy in, or when I retire. You're doing that ahead of time, to be ready for that, which I really commend. Be a little less humble. What's next for you?
Oh wow. One of the benefits of bringing our junior on was his exposure to the alternate world, the hedge fund markets, and we're excited to have take that approach. Really trying to leverage our relationships with the CPA firms and the law firms to moving up market. Is a lot of people will say that, but having the confidence, not only is my team ready for it, but Barnum is more than ready to be able to help clients in that multi-million dollar, $100 million space. That's the new frontier, if you will. And we have clients that are in that stratosphere, but again, trying to be intentional, trying to make sure that we're there and can provide all the resources that they need.
Well, I mean,
That's next.
right. That's a journey. It's a journey is continue to up and stack one good day on top of the next, and learning, being a lifelong learner is something that you've done. And I said, to your point earlier, I give you a lot of credit because you're looking at things from a different lens today than you probably did when you first started in terms of your objectivity to being open to seeing things and looking at it from a different perspective, which is growth in itself. And it's really important. I want to make this one thing I learned really early in career is always thinking about the client's pocket, not yours. And some of those products might not be right for you, but they are right for the client. And I give you a lot of credit for doing that. So, all right, my last one. What else is on your mind today that you want to make sure that you cover with everybody? Is there anything that we missed that you want to make sure you leave us with?
Think the advent of or the AI influence is is going to be an actual benefit. We went through the robo advisor scare, if you will, that they're, oh my gosh, are we going to have a job? And there's too much of an emotional component to finances and the legacy and protecting one's family and that am I going to be able to meet my goals? I, there's I believe there's always going to be a place for the financial planner, financial advisor, as long as you focus on the client and their goals, they're always going to need us.
Yeah.
So the more noise that's out there, the more they need someone like us to whittle it down to the really key important parts. So
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
Good. And you should be. I mean, there's a need for, in 2030, there's a need for 100,000 more advisors. The industry is shrinking. There's not enough people for the demand. Just like a Barnum has built a value prop to help take away a lot of the things that you have to do day to day in your practice. So you can go and do what you do really well and let us do what we do really well is seeing clients, right? AI is going to be an accelerator to that we use AI just like we do in B2 to put the right opportunities in front of you. We were at the forefront of that. That's going to continue to accelerate what you are able to do and how many more clients you're able to see. And it's just going to be such a benefit. But I agree with you. I started out, I'm aging myself here, but I started out with direct mail and it was 5% of the business. The robos were 5% of the business, these quoting tools. And, yet you're 100% right with the complexity of planning today and the things that clients have to do and all the opportunities and people living so much longer. Financial advice, face to face, call it Zoom, whatever you want, it's still face to face is going to be required. And you're doing it in a great way. So Chuck, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for being a leader from afar, and you're helping, shape a lot of people in this industry. And I always say that my hardest thing for me taking this leadership role, I wanted to be in leadership in the worst way. That was kind of my journey. But I also love being at the forefront of helping clients become financially secure. And it took me a while to grasp that and say that I have to now rely on advisors, and you're doing that in spades. And it just makes me super proud to, impact as many lives through others. And you're doing it and you're growing a practice that's just incredible. And, you have a great team, not just Marcello and the support around you, and a great team at home. So congratulations on your practice. And I can't wait to have you back when you break another barrier or two.
Thank you, Paul. And for the bottom of my heart, I wouldn't be here without you and what you've built at Barnum with Mindy. And just, it's amazing to see the growth. And I'm so excited for the future from that 40-person firm to where we are now. And any question that I could possibly have or anything I need help with for a client, it's a team's call away. and it's just amazing.
Thank you.
It really is amazing.
The cool part about it is, as you know, we're just getting started. So you have a great day,
Yeah.
Chuck. Go help more people. And thanks for all you're doing. Everybody, please go on Spotify or Apple and look for it. Small Step, Big Win. And Chuck Hite, thanks again. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you for listening to Small Steps, Big Wins. Please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
All opinions expressed by the program participants are solely their current opinions and do not reflect the opinions their respective parent companies or affiliates or the companies with which the program participants are affiliated. Investments or strategies mentioned in this program may not be suitable for you, and you should make your own independent decision regarding them. This material does not take into account your particular investment objectives, financial situation, or needs, and is not intended as recommendations appropriate for you. You should strongly consider seeking advice from your own investment advisor. Securities and investment advisory services offered through qualified registered representatives of MML Investor Services, LLC. Member SIPC, 6 Corporate Drive, Shelton, Connecticut, 06484, telephone number 203-513-6000.